Welcome back to another episode of the RAG Report podcast, where every single day right now I'm bringing to you a daily bulletin with leaders, founders, advisors and support people with support ideas to the global recruitment industry to help us all navigate through this coronavirus pandemic. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Katie Maycock, the founder of Get Your Shit Together, which is formatively, literally what she does. And she helps recruitment agencies and other business leaders and staff both deal with burnout and prevent burnout, which is a big, big problem. And effectively, that's all relating to mental health. And I don't think there's probably a better time than trying to help people through their mental health challenges. So, Katie, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
You're so welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we had you in Hoxo. Was that a year and a half ago?
Yeah, it was actually a year ago. I think it was a year ago this month or next month or something like that.
Yeah, it was. That's where the hell's that time gone?
I know.
life's very different this year, isn't it?
It is.
So tell me, look, I always start my show with one question. What the hell is going on for you right now? Paint the picture for the listeners.
Yeah, so for me, what I typically do, you mentioned it pretty well. I work with leaders of companies as well as companies in general, helping them prevent burnout and overcome burnout if that's a problem within the business. But realistically, what I essentially do is help people understand the impact that stress and anxiety has on the body and the mind. Right. And so right now, obviously, it's a pretty big topic about how can we navigate through this really difficult, trying stage that no one really has lived through. So that's what I'm doing right now, and definitely trying to give as much value as I can and helping people through how to navigate mental health, stress, helping their physical health and all that goes underneath that banner as well.
So what's going on for you personally? You're in lockdown in the UK.
Yep.
How are you coping?
To be completely honest, I'm actually doing okay. So I was working from home anyway. So a lot of my work was based online. The only thing that's really changed for me is I might not be going into London 1 or 2 times a week, but I'm doing okay, to be completely honest. I was a bit nervous about not having the gym, but I got over it and started doing home workouts, and it's all good for me. So yeah, I'm doing all right. Yeah,
I'd say the same. I think I was doing at least a day, if not 2 at home, and the gym was one big factor, but I've started doing, I've put a plan together, get up early, do it every day, 6 to 7. I'm quite enjoying it, if I'm honest, in certain ways. Like certain parts of it, I'm like, yeah, I could get used to this. But it's more the conversations that you're having on a day-to-day, isn't it? It's gone from chatting to someone once a week, potentially once a day, and having to think about new strategies. And I'm thinking about that from a brand perspective. Yeah. Tell us, what are the conversations you're having with recruitment business leaders right now?
A lot of them, obviously, for a lot of the businesses or the guys that I've been speaking to, they're in all the similar stage where their whole recruitment system of placing candidates has kind of just pretty much been put on pause. So the interesting fact of the conversations that I'm having with them is how do we help manage the emotional and the mental health side of that and the stress levels that can come with that? Obviously there's a huge pressure on finances there. So what can we do to make sure that they're not falling down the rabbit hole and going into the what ifs too far, and actually going, okay, cool, what can you do, and helping, keep that productivity alive. So a lot of the stuff that my clients talking about is actually building their brands up and creating these conversations and talking to their clients and candidates on more of a personal level rather than a business level, and actually getting to know them a bit better, which is really cool. Obviously everyone's having their good days and bad days, and I think everyone can say that that's true. But yeah, definitely looking at the things that the conversations I'm always having is what's in your control? What can you control, and what choices do you have in this present stage, and understanding that rather than focusing on what we can't control, which is obviously we can't control the virus, we can't control the market, we can only control how we show up in this stage. And so talking a lot about that.
Yeah, well, look, you're throwing loads of questions into my head right now, but the first one would be, what's your advice around watching the news? How much should a professional or anyone be consuming, in your opinion, right now?
Realistically, I think what I always say is be really intentional with your social media right now, your news intake, even just talking to people, because obviously you're going to get the news in all different ways, whether it's social media, whether you're seeking it out, going onto, the YouTube and watching it, or going onto TVs and things like that. So be really intentional, and also know your limits as well. I think it's also being self-aware to know where you are right now. Are you feeling a little bit stressed out? So if you are, do you think it's a really good idea to go watch the news? But on a general rule, I'm telling people, hey, how about you just go check out the 5 o'clock report, and that's it, and then switch off. But if you're also feeling really overwhelmed, do you know what? Just take some time out of it, because it's just going to make you feel, it's going to compound that stress on you as well. But yeah, I'm saying be really intentional and mindful about how you're doing, and it's creating that self-awareness of, checking through yourself, going, am I feeling stressed? How am I feeling? Am I feeling frustrated? And I'm scared? Am I fearful? And if you are, maybe take a step back from the news that day, because it is what it is, right?
I totally agree with that. I mean, I found myself at the beginning being like consumed by it, and now I'm like, nah, I'm gonna watch a bit. I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I mean, I get enough news off other people because I'm talking to people all day. So I need to have my little hit every day, knowing what's happened. But but then it's got to be. I mean, you can't be naive to what's going on, because if you turn it off completely,
yes,
you could really quite quickly be in a rabbit hole where you think you miss out on certain information that's going to affect your business. But too much will just, again, send you in a different kind of rabbit hole mentally.
It's having that sweet spot, understanding how much is too much for you, but also just being informed, but without it being consuming to you. So, I've had, over the weekend, I personally took 36 hours off all social media, messaging, news. I was just like, you know what? I'm sure I'll catch up after that 36 hours. But it was just something that helped me just press reset on where I was at. And it just helps you think clear as well. Obviously at the moment we need to have a clear mind. We need to be able to make good decisions. And if we're stressed or anxious, our decision-making skills really, falter. So making sure that we're being intentional.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm very similar to that. In fact, I deleted Instagram on New Year's Eve after having it since 2011. And I was like, it's just not making me, it's not, I was watching too much of other people's lives over Christmas. I was like, what am I doing? So I deleted it, and I check in every now and again now on the desktop app just to see what's going on, but felt so much better without it, like so much better. And I think it's important to have those breaks. Well, I suppose for the listeners, I don't want to go into all the detail, but your background, like, so give us a really quick, like, couple of minute overview, because you did work in recruitment. You understand our sector. Give me the Katie Maycock story in 2 minutes.
In 2 minutes, all right. So you're absolutely 100% correct. I did work in recruitment for 2 years. I was fresh out of uni. Actually, I was fresh out of running my own business and thought that corporate world would be awesome, and recruitment sounded really exciting and fun, and it was. But as I'm sure a lot of people can understand with recruitment, it is very taxing if you don't know how to manage your time appropriately.
Yeah.
And I was 23. I was so fresh, and I really didn't know the industry, and I wanted to be successful, and this drive and this motivation to be successful sort of drove me to work really long hours. And, I was quite successful within my first year. So, I don't think anyone believed that I could do it. But I made 2 placements my first month and just killed it the first year of being in recruitment. But then I burnt out, and we're talking full-blown burnout. I was about 24, 25 when I burnt out. And, I remember waking up, it was the first couple of days of a holiday that completely changed the next 2 to 3 years of my life, where I actually couldn't get out of bed. I started suffering really bad health issues. So we're talking like digestive issues, inflammatory issues, immune issues. I had like cold sores constantly all over my face. I was allergic and intolerant to all these foods that I wasn't actually previously allergic to. And during that time, I really didn't know what was wrong with me. I thought I picked up some random bug, and I was looking at all the physical symptoms and not understanding stress and anxiety. And every time I was going to the doctors, they're like, oh, you're just stressed and anxious, you'll be okay. But they didn't seem to really care. So I was like, oh, take it seriously. It's like, why should I? And then after about 3 years of it, I kind of woke up one day with a cold sore pretty much covering a quarter of my face, and was like, all right, I've really got to start looking at stress and anxiety as a cause to my physical health issues. So after, being in and out of recruitment for a number of years and burning out twice while I was in recruitment, I started really understanding what made me burn out, and understanding it wasn't necessarily bad stress, per se. Actually, the fact that I had good stress, but I used it as a as a fuel to drive me forward without understanding that it wasn't a limitless source. So now what I do is I help similar people in similar industries, especially the type A professionals, understand that balance and understand burnout in a different way.
Wow. So if we look then at the last 2 weeks, I reckon most people in business, including CEOs, founders, have gone from working X amount to Y amount. Like even me, like especially without the travel, I feel like I said before, like I'm on back-to-back video calls from. Today I started a video call this morning in Japan at 7:00, and I think I've had about half an hour's break, and it's intense. I mean, how are you helping people right now deal with this? What strategies are you putting in place?
Yeah, so everyone's really different. So everyone, how they cope with stress is going to be really different. But it's setting up a routine that makes sense for that person and understanding where that person is. So a lot of the things that I'm talking to with my clients, depending on where they're at, because everyone's having to pivot, everyone's having to think of innovative ways to pivot, to make changes, to adapt. So, me realistically saying, only make sure you're working 8 hours is not going to be heard very well.
No.
So it's understanding, getting people to take a bit of a physical, mental and emotional audit of where they're at. It's like, how am I physically feeling? Am I starting to waver? Because if that's the case, then maybe I need to take a bit of a step back and doing like little things throughout the day and structuring the day that makes sense to the person on what they can be doing to help mitigate the impact of stress and anxiety. Because, hey, we are in a stressful stage right now. So what can we do to help the body, help the mind, help our emotional state as well, which is really important. So everyone's really different, but one of the biggest things I would be doing is understanding where you are at. So asking yourself specific questions like, waking up in the morning going like, how am I actually feeling? Where is, how am I physically feeling? How am I emotionally feeling? How am I mentally feeling? Like, where is my sort of, fuel tank? If when I'm talking about fuel.
There's my fuel tank.
There you go, water.
I'm drinking a gallon a day at the moment on this part of this challenge thing I'm doing. And honestly, I think that's a massive factor in why I feel so good.
Yeah, I agree. Water's a huge thing. It actually helps you with focus as well and reduce tiredness. And that's the other aspect, actually creating a exercise and diet plan that makes sense for now as well. And understanding different exercises that you can do throughout the day to help manage that stress and lower that stress as possible.
What type of exercises are we talking about?
So exercises can be breathing exercises. I get all my clients, I say to every single one of them, like, don't you dare check your phone for the first 30 minutes of when you wake up. I want you to start focusing on yourself. I get them all to do some form of meditation, whether it's guided, whether it's personal. Journaling is really good right now as well, just to help, write down your fears and all those types of things. But I'm also telling them, go outside, get some fresh air, do a bit of a HIIT session if you need to, do something that's keeping your body moving, because it's really going to help. Because one of the biggest things with stress, obviously your adrenaline is pumping. You've also got, blood sugar levels increased in your body when you're feeling a bit stressed out. Obviously, if we're talking about the fight or flight, if we're sitting at our desk, trying to fight the urge of fight or flight, it's actually not going to be good for us. If you just go for a quick walk or do something for even 10 minutes, a 10-minute HIIT can really help lower that stress level and obviously release endorphins and help with those dopamine, serotonin levels as well. So
sure. At the moment then, my routine is, so I'm up at 6. I'm going to train from 6:15 to 7. So I'm doing 45 minutes. And then I'm trying to read for like 15 minutes after 20 minutes. And then I'll take the dog out for a bit of a walk. But all in this time, am I using my phone? I think I am checking my emails before I even start. So I probably need to stop that, because you could get one email that really changes your mindset for the first 2 hours of the day. It's just not worth it. Like, there's nothing that can't be solved an hour later, I suppose, is there?
Well, it's not going to go anywhere. The way that I look at it that helps people understand why I say that is the first 30 minutes is for you to check in with yourself. If you read an email, a message, go on social media or anything like that, what you're saying to yourself is someone else's thoughts, wants and needs and desires is more important than my own. So you need to create that foundation for your own. Like, what do you need? What do you want? Where are you at? And, making sure that you're not going external from that. And I think a lot of people go external rather than internal and try and understand where they're at. And that's a very big source of stress and anxiety. And you're right. If you read one email that's just really not a good email, it can shape the whole of your day.
Yeah,
So,
I've done that a few times. So, Okay, that's a really good one. Anything else later on in the day? Anything similar in the afternoon or evening?
So one of the biggest things that I think is I think it's common in just normal days, but especially right now, is having your phone on, consistently perusing through LinkedIn or, social media or the news things and all those different types of, media outlets and things like that. Actually putting your phone away. So I've got, obviously, you can obviously put downtime on your phone, you can turn it off. But one of my clients, he was like, I just find myself, on my phone. I'm like, put it in a drawer, put it somewhere else, just put it away and switch off and actually be present in the moment in the evenings as well, and have that proper downtime in the evening to actually help you, mentally digest and decompress from the day is really important as well. So, first thing in the morning, don't check your phone. Last thing at night, don't check your phone.
Right. Well,
and obviously switch off the TV.
That's really simple stuff to do. So people need to get off your phones. Get off your. I'm bad though. I mean, I can definitely. I've definitely tried to be more present and do that, but I am bad for texting my business partner and finance manager, and we can be chatting at 9:30 in a group chat, and especially right now, you're kind of having daily Cobra meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
But it is. I guess it's after 7:38. Things you do not need to have more conversations if you've been busy and productive in the day. One thing I was interested to talk about with you, Katie, was this whole furlough situation. I've probably had a countless conversations on this podcast about the scheme itself. I think I've already done that conversation, but now I would like to think about the psychology behind both the people being furloughed and those that have furloughed staff. So, because at the end of the day, the whole point of the scheme is to retain your staff, is to make sure give them a lifeline, that there's a job at the end of this. So I know one of my mates has been furloughed and he's absolutely loving life. Like he's like, I'm out walking, I'm out and about, I'm having, what did he say to me? I'm having a sound bath, I'll text you later or something. And this is like 12 o'clock in the day. I don't know what he was doing, but he's delighted by it. But on the whole, I reckon it's a really weird space to be. So
you're kind of like in this weird limbo land, right? Like you're in this like, can't really do much, but should I just chill out? So there's going to be people in different camps, right? There's going to be the people that just want to be productive, want to be doing stuff and going like, what can I do? And they're sort of a little bit at a loss of what to do, and they're probably in this stage of like, what's my purpose? What should I be doing? Like, how can I be doing different things? Especially because right now there's not really an end point to where we're at. So, and then there's the people on the opposite side that can, find themselves sitting on Netflix. And for the first few days, that's kind of cool. Like everyone loves a good Netflix binge, but after a while, it will become a little bit too repetitive, and something will kick inside you and going, hang on, something's not quite right. And there'll be, a definitely different type of mental health issue there. So you've got you've got people in different camps, right? But you can help them in both points. So I think furlough is just one of those really weird places, and knowing what to do with limbo land and understanding what you can control, because that's the other aspect with furlough. It's like, well, I can't go and get another job. I don't really know what to do. So understanding what you can do and how you can be productive for yourself, and, essentially making a choice. Like, do you want to actually learn how to level up? Do you want to do some personal development? Do you want to do, what can you do to keep yourself productive? Whether or not it's, working on how to better yourself in your business, or just personal development in general. Like, what can you be doing to keep yourself, what I call it baseline, which is that level of feeling productive enough that you can put your head down at night going, oh, I've done my stuff today, but also not, feeling like you're overextending yourself and going too far out there.
Yeah.
So I think there's definitely different things that you can be doing in that area.
What tips have you got? Anything that people can address?
Yeah, so obviously we'll talk about the people that have been furloughed. I think that the biggest thing for them is taking personal responsibility of the situation. Obviously the company has made them furloughed, and that was a bit out of their control. But understanding things that they can be doing. So looking at, what do you want to be doing? Could you be reading a bit? Could you be reading more? Is there certain things that you could be looking at to activate your mind, keep yourself focused, keep yourself learning and doing different things? Maybe you could look at different ways on branding yourself. If you're a recruitment consultant, branding yourself and actually using this time to maybe not work, but just build relationships and connect with different people in different ways, and having those open conversations, not necessarily about work, but just even doing that. you know, learning something new, learning a new skill. Even if it doesn't have to be related to work. It can be something simple as maybe you want to go learn how to cook or something like that.
Or a new language or anything.
A new language, absolutely. There's so many cool free tools and techniques out there to, you know, that you can go on YouTube. You can find those apps, what is it, Duolingo, if you want to learn another language. And
I think in our sector, there's going to be a couple of people. I mean, my genuine hope is that people can take this time and actually, like, you know, it's a bit of a break. It's just a genuinely a bit of a break that we all need at some point in life.
Yep.
And it's like a sabbatical but paid, but there is also that fear I think people have that they might not have a job to come back to. Not everyone, not depending on the conversation they had with their boss when they finished, means depending on how, if you feel like you're not sure you're going back, that could be quite a difficult, anxious place to be, because it's just like open-ended limbo land.
Yeah. So in that, it's finding the control within that. So what could you be doing? Could you be building up your LinkedIn profile? Could you be thinking of different ways to promote yourself and things like that, and finding ways to get there? But the biggest thing in those situations is don't fall too hard down the what if rabbit hole. I think it's a really easy place to go down. So what I mean by the what if rabbit hole is, so the way I'm just going to sort of talk a little bit about how I perceive stress and anxiety and my philosophy is, I've always thought, I remember when I started feeling really stressed and anxious, I remember one day I just thought, man, stress and anxiety is like a door-to-door salesman. It just knocks on your door at really inconvenient times when you don't necessarily need them. And what they're selling you is what ifs and whys. So, you know, you might buy the first what if. It's like, well, what if I don't have a job to come back to? And then you start buying more what ifs that get further and further from the actual reality. And you end up in this creating a narrative about how you're never going to be in a job again. You're going to be like, you know, you're thinking about being homeless and trying to feed your dog and all that kind of stuff. But you're not there right in that moment. You're actually completely reacting emotionally and physically to a scenario that you've created and a story that you've told yourself. So it's being able to understand, hang on a second, maybe I'll just shut the door on the what ifs, like, you know, give a bit of a return on my what ifs and actually come back to, well, what are the facts that I'm dealing with right now? Like, where am I actually at right now, rather than the things that may or may not happen down the track. So understanding to close the door on stress and anxiety, and understanding, okay, what can I do in this moment and where am right now? Well, right now I've been furloughed, and you know, at the moment I do have a job to go back to. I'm going to keep that in mind. But, you know, if there's something in the back of your mind going, well, maybe not, then do the things that you can do right now to position yourself in a really good situation to make sure that when this all turns around, you can start promoting yourself.
Sure. Okay. And if you're the person that made the decision to furlough, how do you then, what do you think you need to do to make sure you support those people mentally and through this period?
I think firstly, actually, the first step for those people is obviously they're human beings. You know, I think we all look at senior management and think they don't have emotions. They don't have
robots.
Feelings. Yeah, they're just robots. But realistically, those leaders are actually struggling with the choices as well. They're having to own that. They're in an awkward situation as well. So the first thing that I would say to those people is accept what's happened, understand where you are emotionally, mentally, and physically, and sort of process that appropriately, because if you don't do that, you're not going to make good choices next. But then what I would also be saying is, how can you add value to the people that you furloughed? Could you be helping set up webinars with specialists to come in and help them out with, you know, what to do daily, and maybe giving them a training course, or just helping them out in certain ways that can actually support them through this furlough stage. And then that way you're at least giving them something to do, you're keeping them in contact, and you're showing that you care, and it's actually going to add value to them and to you at the end of the day as well. And, you know, the reason why we like helping people, it actually does make us feel good, and it makes other people feel good too. And that's 100%. Really what a human's about, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think I know exactly what that's like in terms of making those decisions, and it isn't easy, and it makes you feel like you don't sleep properly. You question yourself, and then you feel guilty and you feel like a bad person, but you've got to do it. Otherwise, you're not going to be there. I found myself as well. A stupid thing I did yesterday is I don't even know how I did it. I stumbled upon a few emails we were sending before this happened, and I saw like a glimpse into like the excitement that me and my team were talking about, the growth, and clipped to the budget and the plans we had. And I'm like, we're not going to achieve any of that stuff now. No, in the future we will, hopefully, but not right. And it felt like there was like a loss for a minute. And I had to snap myself back out of it and be like, look, fucking ignore that shit. Because that's an old paradigm that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
We're in this state now. And actually, again, I know what I can control, or I think about what I can control every day, and that's about it. But I reckon a lot of people do that. They what's the word? Romanticize, or they're nostalgic about where they were a month ago. And they're like, we're just about to get there, and it was the worst time because, and fucking it was, but it is.
It is what it is. But I think the other thing that I've had conversations with people about, planning for when this is all over and done, it's like, that's great, but you need to be focusing on what you can do today and now, and not focus too far on what you're going to do in the future. It's like, what can you be doing right now to support that future? But the conversations I've been having with people, it's like, I've lost all this income, and so, but when this is all back, I've got a game plan. It's like, but what's your game plan now? What are you doing now? How could you be adding value now? And I think it's bringing it back to, at the end of the day, we don't really know what's going to happen. We need to be able to be proactive with what we know right now and what we can do today to add value to, whether or not, it doesn't necessarily have to be with work, but it can also be to our community, to our friends, to our family. Like, what can we do in that state today? And I think it's always remaining present and making sure that you're doing everything you can to be reacting and being proactive in the right circumstance, rather than romanticizing about the past and what could have been. And sort of, you don't have to get rid of it. You just pigeonhole and go, okay, cool. Like, I'll come back to that when the time's appropriate. But right now I need to be doing X, Y, and Z to either support myself, support my staff, or support my family or friends.
I agree. All right. Well, let's end on a positive, right? So what is the best thing, in your opinion, that's going to come out of this whole thing? I'm just going to talk a little bit about what I've experienced now and the positives I'm seeing now, because I think it's a really good thing to do. But to be honest, the amount of collaboration, the amount of support that I've been getting from the wider community, people reaching out that have, been like, I've been meaning to reach out to you, but I haven't, and having really cool conversations with different people and talking about different ways to support each other's communities and different things like that. So that's been a really good thing. And I think what's going to come out of that is a bit more patience, a little bit more kindness, and a little bit more compassion towards our general people. I think, I was speaking to somebody yesterday and we were talking about, we always thought about, call so-and-so, but now we're just calling them. We're creating a new habit to just like, I'm thinking about this person. Let me give them a bit of a call, or give them or schedule a call with them. And I think that that's something that is going to be a really good positive thing to come out of it. I also think a lot of mental resilience is going to come out of it. We're going to come out a lot stronger. And we're going to be able to, be a little bit more resilient to hardships, which I think is an absolute positive. 100%. And I'm going to add to that. I think we're going to become more resourceful. So, being able to live without the gym, live without going out for dinner, live without all the fancy stuff in life. Like I'm quite enjoying the simplicity of what we're doing, and I don't want that forever, but I want to take some of that with me for the future. I already own too many clothes. I own too much shit. I've got too many direct debits. I spend too much on food. Like, I can see it all much clearer now than I could a month ago. So I'm really excited, and I really hope people are much more grateful for the things they have, and they're just more resourceful. They just don't waste stuff, because we can live in an existence which we didn't even think was possible last month. Like when we were talking about self-isolating, I remember seeing everyone like mocking the idea, and it's like, well, we're here now and we're all making do. We're like, so many good things have already come out of it, and I think that good things will come out of it. And I think it's, making the best of what you can right now as well. Like, what can you be doing right now to spin a positive narrative rather than you've got to falling down that negative. Yeah. Got to. Otherwise, everyone's hair is going to go grey like me, and you've had it. Well, look, Katie, thank you so much. That's all we've got time for. Can you, would you be open to any of my listeners reaching out and asking you questions?
Yeah, for sure. They're more than happy to. I'm actually, if anyone wants to join, I'm doing free webinars every Friday at 2:00. So if you want to be a part of that, come along. We talk about techniques, stress, diet, whatever comes up.
I'll get on that.
Feel free.
I'll be up for that. So guys, reach out to Katie. I'll tag doing all the posts online and on the notes on the podcast store. So please do reach out. Katie, thank you. Thanks for taking the time. You're definitely someone that, I mean, I remember seeing when you came into our office, it was incredible what you did. So I can speak firsthand that you know your stuff. So guys, please do. And I think everyone, I really hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's a bit different than the conversation we've had so far. A little bit less practical around the operations, a bit more emotional, which I think is important. And we all need to remember that at the end of the day, we're all human beings and we're all in this together. I ask for one thing after listening to this show. I don't ask for any money. I ask for you to share the show with someone you know. So pass this on to a friend, a colleague, a boss, even a competitor. If you think there's someone out there that might need to hear from recruitment owners, leaders, advisors right now, then share it, because the more people that listen, the more chance we've got of this industry thriving through this pandemic, and that's all I care about right now. Also, if you're listening on the iTunes store, please do give us your ratings, your comments, because it helps us push up the rankings there as well. I'll be back again tomorrow with another story, another take on what's going on. In the meantime, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.